Hey y'all, I'm trying to finish up my Seahorse royalty junk journal kit project, and I wanted to make a tassel to put on the front. So I have a bull clip and a book clip, and it's a little mini book clip. So I just attached that to the hole at the top of the bull clip, and that's how I'm going to attach my tassel to my book. And I have just an ice cream bucket here of supplies, so I'm going to hang this on here so that I can work on it. And the first thing I have is, this is some string, it's poly string that is used to tie hay bales. And I save all that string and do different things with it. And I have some batik fabrics here that I ripped into strips. My tools. I have this bowl of goodies. I have some eyelash trims. Some more fibers here. Yarn fibers. I have some string. Oh, and I found these cards. I have a whole bunch of cards that I'm destashing, playing cards and game cards and things that I'm destashing. So I wanted to add these into this journal. And then I found this piece of broken jewelry, and I thought it kind of looks like a squid, so I want to add that somewhere. And I have these little shells that have holes drilled in them for beading. I have this broken jewelry with pearls and little faux shells, a bracelet, some strung pearls. I have this earring, and it looks like a little school of fish. This is how I end up with single earrings in my jewelry destash sales. So I'm going to put this one earring somewhere on this tassel, and then I just have a bunch of beads. So the first thing I want to do is start layering up my pieces of batik cotton fabric. This one I just knotted together to make it a little bit longer. It was from another project. I'm also going to trade out the ties on that journal for these brown string ties instead of the white. So I'll just start threading all my different long pieces of fabric and fibers and things through my book ring. You can see the original piece of that hay bale thread was really thick, so I just unwound pieces of it in groupings so that I could use it. Adding some brown string. I'm leaving it long because I'm going to put some beads and things on it. And then this piece of brown string I'm going to save for later, and I'll show you why. So for right now, I have this little grouping, which would be cute, but I don't think it's near enough. So I'm going to add some more things. This was 3 pieces of eyelash trim yarn, and I braided it together and tied it in knots at both ends to make it thicker and fluffier. And I want to add this. And originally I thought do half and half, and then I decided against that and made one side longer. Now I want to add some more bulk, so I'm going to dig through my little stash of eyelash trims here. And happened to find this piece of brown dangly lace from Crafty Me Shop hiding in this bucket. I don't know why, but I'm going to use it. The little dangles kind of look like little seashells or something sea life-like. So I'm going to use it. And that red is too bright. And this is too bright. So I'm going to dig some of these darker colors out. And I had some mossy green hiding over here. So I'm going to cut some of that and add this mossy green to my book ring. Now these eyelash trims that I'm using are all discontinued. If you are having trouble finding eyelash trims in your area and you are interested, I am also destashing a ton of eyelash trims. Okay, that's better, but I want to add more. And I have a short piece of what's in that bucket cut already. So I'm going to cherry pick the colors out of this piece that I want to use. So I go with the sea green, the lighter brown, and then the aqua color because there's not really a lot of purple in the journal that I'm making. So I'll use these 3 pieces. I think I'm done with eyelash trims and all this other stuff. So I'll just shove all this stuff back in this bucket. Done with that. And I'm going to add this last piece of batik fabric through here. And I'm pretty happy with the fabric and fibers and strings that I have in this tassel. So I'm going to hold on to it really tightly against that book ring. And I'm going to take this little piece of lace and wrap it around the whole top of that tassel. Again, just holding it as tightly as I can. And then I'm going to take that extra piece of brown string that I had. And this is what I'm going to tie the top of that tassel with to hold it into place. And I'm going to tie it around that piece of lace as well. And I'm not going to lie, you guys, I'm fiddly when it comes to these little small pieces and jewelry pieces and things. And that's why I tend to not do them on camera. So the first thing I want to do is get this pulled pretty tight close to the top. So that I can then wrap a couple of times with each side of that string. I'm going to go ahead and tie this in a knot to hold that bunch into place. And it is holding that lace in place. I didn't use any glue and I didn't do any stitching. And now I'll take one side of the string and I'll wrap around my tassel a couple of times. And I kind of wrapped and scooted down a little bit and wrapped and scooted down a little bit. And I'll do that with the other side of the string. And then I'll tie it in a knot at the back of the tassel, what I'm going to call the back of the tassel. You saw how tightly I pulled on that to tie that knot. Now I'll take those two strings and kind of weave and tuck them back into the tassel where they don't stick out so much from tying the knot, so they blend better. Okay, now I want to see what it looks like up against the journal. Okay, I like this. Now I'll start adding other things to it. Okay, I'm going to take a piece of this broken pearl jewelry with the little faux, they're flowers, but they look like flat sand dollars. So I'm just going to thread this onto my brown string, and then I run into a hiccup, which I knew better. So I'm going to end up backing this off. I caught some of that thread because I think there's 6 or 8 strands here total on this string. So I'm just going to take some Eileen's tacky glue and add some glue to the end of that string and then twist it and let it dry so that I have a stiffer piece of string to work with when I'm threading it through, and also to keep all the strings intact. Sorry, didn't realize I was out of frame when I was doing this. Okay, try again. I'm going to thread this through, and I'm going to push this piece of jewelry all the way to the top. And then I'm just going to tie a knot in the string to hold it into place. And I added a second strand exactly like that to a different string. So I have 2 strands of those now. Now I want to add this piece of broken jewelry that looks like a squid or a small jellyfish. I think it looks more like a squid. So I'm going to gather some things up. I'm going to go find my jump rings and some jewelry making materials. Since there's already a loop at the top of this piece of jewelry, I'm just going to add a jump ring. And then I use that jump ring to attach it to the lace at the top of the tassel. Now I want to add some of these strands of pearls. So I have some thread on a needle. And I'm just going to wrap this thread around a couple of the beads and tie a knot. And then I'm going to stitch that strand of beads into, just catch a piece of that batik fabric and stitch that into place, because there's not really a way for me to add a jump ring, but I want them to dangle freely, and that worked. And then I end up adding a second string of pearls. And I did that off camera. Now I'm going to take some of these head pins. They're the jewelry making pieces that have the flat head on one end and they're just a straight pin on the other. And I'm going to make some bead dangles with the seashells that I have. And these seashells have had holes drilled in them for making jewelry with them. They were another piece of broken jewelry that I decided to keep to craft with. So I'm just adding some beads now. I added the shell to the bottom. And I'm just trying to decide what order I want the beads to go in. And I put one too many because I need room to make a loop with my pliers. So I'm just going to take my pliers and the straight end of that pin and make a curled loop in it. Apparently out of frame. Back in frame again. Okay. Am I a professional jewelry maker? No. Do I like adding jewelry pieces to my journals? Yes. If you play with stuff long enough, you can figure something out. And then I'm going to add a jump ring to that. There. Seashell bead dangle. And I'm going to add it to this string. Or this string. I'm going to add it to the string from the hay bale. Because it needs something. So decide where I want it and tie a little knot to hold it into place. Now I'm going to add a second one to that string. I'm just going to make it a little bit different. And then I'm going to add two to a different piece of hay bale string in my tassel. Okay, and I want to add something to this brown string. So I decide to cut apart that bracelet, which the elastic string was pretty wore out. Anyway, so don't mind cutting that apart. And I'll string some beads onto 2 pieces of this brown string in the tassel. Put a little metal finding at the end of it that's a lot smaller in the size of the hole that's drilled in each bead. And then tie a little knot at the bottom to hold the beads in place. And I do the rest of this off camera. And I also ended up moving the squid to another place in the tassel and replacing that squid piece with the single earring that looked like a school of fish. And I'll show you here. I put that little school of fish there on the top. I liked it better there. And then the little squid, I ended up stitching to a piece of the eyelash trim in a place a little bit further down in the tassel, and I liked it better there. So this is what I ended up with, guys. Lots of different things, textures, and you could add more and more and more. But I'm happy with this for now. Yep. All kinds of little seashells and pearls and beads and things in here. Thanks for watching, y'all.